Hello? Can you hear me okay? Can you see me okay? Okay, awesome. I'm Dasha Jamison with Red Rock Pastel Society of Nevada, and we have Casey Klahn joining us today. Hello, Casey. How are you?
Hi, I'm fine, thank you. How are you?
I'm doing good.
Do you hear me well enough? Does it sound cutting out or does it sound just fine?
It is cutting out a little bit.
Okay, I'm going to try and speak a little bit more clear and then make sure it doesn't cut out. I noticed on autos it cut out a little and then it got better. So, welcome to my
Okay,
studio.
welcome. Thank you for having us.
You bet. Looking forward to this. This is my new studio. It was a Model T Ford garage on my farm property, and then I remodeled it. It's brand new.
This is great. For some reason, your picture is frozen on my screen, but it can be connection error on my side. We've been have challenges in Vegas with connections lately, so I'm using my cellular. Please, can somebody type? Can you see Casey's studio? Is that okay? Now it's better, so now I can see you.
Okay, I'm looking at these little internet feeds, and they look okay. Mine is normal. So
Okay, no, that's good. Yeah, so this is awesome. Awesome. Okay. Now just as long as we're not frozen for you guys, we can carry on. Thank you.
looks good on my end, Dasha.
Awesome. So just need to troubleshoot it. So it's on my end and we can carry on.
Good. Good. I have the images from the Red Rock 2020 exhibition up here on my iPad, so I can see them. I
Yeah.
sent you nine. I sent you 9 images, but you can tell me how many to comment on in our gallery walkthrough, and maybe do 5 or 6. I don't know.
It depends how it will go. So let's shoot for all 9. I have them saved, so I will be bringing them up as a slide. Do you want to start with a gallery walkthrough, or you want to start with showing your pictures?
Oh, I think we'll do the gallery walkthrough. Then I thank you for permitting me to bring out some of my paintings. And I have my flat file set up here. It was a big effort getting my flat files from my old studio to my new studio. And I've always had this dream of opening the flat file and showing the art to my patrons. And here we are online.
This is awesome. And you have quite a presence online. I was watching your YouTube videos and reading your blog. It's a colorist blog, but very exciting.
Thank you. Me too. Are you in Las Vegas, Nevada, Dasha?
Yes, I am in Las Vegas, Nevada.
Okay, we met in Albuquerque at the International Association of Pastel Societies.
Yes, we did. It was good times there.
Oh,
And I have this picture of us. And again, I'm cutting out the Jude.
Jude. Hi,
And
Jude.
hi, Jude. And I have that picture of you during exhibition. This picture is by Olga Abramova, and she attended your demo. I haven't, so that's something to look forward for me in the future. One of your demos. Um,
Right. Good.
yeah,
Good.
and
Well, all of the classes are online nowadays.
yeah, you're doing Zoom classes.
I'm doing classes on Facebook, and they feature some Zoom activity as well. So it's mostly on Facebook, and they're limited. I want to do an unlimited class, meaning the census for the class is wide open. Any amount of people can sign up, and it will be on color. the subject will be color. So look forward to that. I'm late in getting it started. I hope to start my On Color Facebook class. All artists can join soon.
Definitely will be checking my notifications on the Facebook. And I'm not sure what I have in order you have, but I do have images we selected.
Okay.
So let's start with Gina Carsten's Summer Tapestry.
Perfect. Well, you asked me to do some still life work, so I'm doing an online workshop right now on florals. We were doing apples and fruit, and then they decided to switch to florals. And here's a floral by Gina Carsten, Summer Tapestry. And what really struck me about this was that I opened it up and I looked and I looked. So it captured my attention. It might as well be an abstract. And one of the things that Gina has done is she has given us a very close cropping. So we're very tight into the floral picture. And what I like about that is that it makes it more of an abstract. If she had done this painting in the 18th century, she would have had to include, you know, the air around it, the vase, the table, the sunlight coming in, the cat in the background. So here we have this abstract with beautiful treatment of the colors. I feel that I'm in an interior. I feel that it's just kissed by the light. And of course there's movement around the painting. And so bravo to Gina for that one. What speaks to me is that it represents the flowers and the floral bouquet, but it also is an abstract statement of shapes and colors. By the way, it's very difficult for an artist to cut off the base of a vase and make the scene work, and she's done that.
That's masterful piece by Gina. She's participating in our show for the second time, and she has few more paintings in our online show. So go to redrockpsnv.org to check out full exhibition. Let's move on to the next artist. It's Loriann.
Oh, Loriann Signori. I painted with her in Washington State outdoors. We met up and painted, and then the bear came along and we had to get out of there, and then she lost her keys and it was a big mess. So it was my privilege to meet Loriann and to paint with her. And I've always thought that, and I've watched her in her process, she's very observant and very careful in her observation. And yet the result is a beautiful atmospheric and abstracted scene. I love both of her works. I was going to include the other one, but then I saw there was just a little more data in this one. By the way, this reminds me of some of the motifs that I admire in Wolf Kahn. Now, I don't know where Ocracoke is. She's on the East Coast, I know. I think she's in Maryland. Forgive me, Loriann, if I get your location wrong. But Wolf Kahn did these pastel works of the, I believe, the Chesapeake Bay and or Cape Cod. Maybe he did both. And those are my favorite works by him. One of my friends has the original. And so here you have this atmospheric dusk scene with a boat and a harbor. And yet I can feel the atmosphere. I can feel the water in the air. And so I just can't say enough about this. It's a small work at 8 by 8 inches, but it doesn't matter. There's a lot of content here. Loriann has captured both simplicity and brevity. And I love the highlights and the pops of this turquoise blue and the yellow. And I love the vibration that's taking place in this. I mean, I can go on for the whole hour on her beautiful work.
Beautiful work. And this is the second piece what caught your eye. Very beautiful. Loriann is a joyful person, and I had the chance to paint with her too in Washington. So congratulations to her.
Yes.
Let's move to the next piece, and it's landscape work by Elena Marder, Julian Hills.
Now, Elena Marder is an artist who I don't know. This piece, let's see, 10 inches by 8 inches, could be twice that size, could be 3 times that size. So much, again, I use the word vibration. Can you still hear me okay?
Yes,
Dasha?
I can hear. Yeah, I
Sound
can
is
hear
good.
you, Casey. Yeah, I can hear you, Casey. Can you hear me?
Okay. Yes, I hear you fine. This also has the atmosphere we're talking about, and yet she goes beyond just atmosphere. And atmosphere is something that Western painters like Edgar Payne, you know, he was very interested in atmosphere. Painter of the West, Albert Bierstadt, he wanted to do, these are great American painters, wanted to give us the atmosphere. But this one has a lot of color and a great amount of looseness in addition to the atmosphere. And so Elena has woven many different elements into this little painting, and successfully so. And so at first you might go past it, and then when you look at it, it starts to yield more and more goodness. And a lot of people ask, how do you paint loose? Here's an example of how to go loose. And so also she's used some nearly full colors and some full colors, but a lot of neutrals and a lot of lights. So I love the play of the atmosphere. I love the way that the marks create atmosphere. I also love the way that your eye is led upward into the painting in a dynamic style. So again, this is another one I could go on and on about the little details of it. And yet there aren't details. It's open and loose.
Thank you, Casey. I am so happy what Elena is with us, and she's fairly new to painting, I believe just a few years, and
Wow.
had a chance to paint with her in person too. So joyful person as well as her piece. And Cheryl Magellen, Lone Mountain, another Las Vegas local artist, and you may know her.
No, I don't know Cheryl Magellen. Looking at the size again, a small is good. Small is what we paint when we paint outdoors. This one has that Edgar Payne style of atmosphere, and yet she's given us a flow of the rock and a flow of the land, and the right amount of light to shadow. In other words, the shadows are not too dark, the light is not too light. So that creates a subtlety. This is a mountain. See, I love the mountains. This is a mountain scene that you can cherish because of the subtle flow of light and the subtle play of shadow. And also you can move your hand along the work of the rocks. I just got done watching those John Ford movies about the West, about the cavalry. And these are the kinds of scenes that he played so strongly in black and white. Here you have it in color. Lots of neutrals, some high colors, some dark violets or eggplants. Probably those are Terry Ludwig. And that little note,
we all love.
The one we all love, and that little note of turquoise that really sets it off. And so also, I appreciate the way that she's done the edges on both sides of this mountain. So the edges are very strong and very important. They're not overdone. So she has lost and found edges. And there's an optical quality to the edge to the sky, that transition. So her transitions are good. Also can say a lot about how she enters the painting and how she leaves the painting. She enters it subtly, the same kind of entrance John Wayne would make in a movie. In The Searchers, John Wayne enters the movie. And so my eye enters this painting in an important way. So the entrance to the painting is as important as in a grand movie. And the exit, subtle. So great design, great linear design.
Thank you, Casey. And speaking about John Wayne movies, next piece from David Gilmore, and this is Monument Valley scene.
Oh, yes. Unfortunately, another artist I don't know. I hope to get to meet some of these people. Well, I talked about Edgar Payne and I talked about Albert Bierstadt, but there's a Western artist named Maynard Dixon. Maynard Dixon is the one you really want to look at because he gave you more than just atmosphere. He took the layers of the Western landscape and invited you to go deep into the depth of that landscape. And he did it by giving you something in the foreground, perhaps darker, perhaps shadow, bright lights in the midground and the distant midground, and then in the far distance back to shadow. And so this is what Maynard Dixon was so good at, was, and it's hard to make your audience believe that because it's not the way you learn to do a landscape. You learn to do a landscape with the higher colors in the front, grayer colors in the background. You want dark in the front, you want to recede to gray, etc. As you were, you want some dark in the ground, but you want bright things too in the near foreground. So at any rate, Maynard Dixon does it with the bright light in the midground. And that's true. That's the way I'm looking out here at the American West through my door. And you see that setup where there'll be a shadow, and then bright, and then shadow again. And so Maynard Dixon gives us that. All right, so what did David do? David gave us that this is almost like a national park poster, and yet it is fine art. He gives us that bright, bright, bright ultramarine blue to the back cliff in Monument Valley. And then we have these monument needles in more pronounced violet color. And
Thank you, Casey.
Subtle texture of the surfaces. So I really like the posterized quality of this, and I like how he's put the light just so in different areas, and he's made it so that I can read it. So I'm sorry I bounced around a lot. Maybe I'm a little bit like Maynard Dixon. I bounced around with my
Yes, alternating shadows and lights.
Yeah, thank you. That's a good description. I hope you'll all look at Maynard Dixon because I think it's an important way to look at the West. Here we have
when I moved to Las Vegas 2 years ago, I met a wonderful Russian artist here, Tatiana Herbachevskaya, and she gave me an album by Maynard Dixon to look at. So I had it on my coffee table for a few months, and I was studying his composition, his aerial perspective and stuff. He has some masterful compositions there too.
Mm. Yeah, I want to ask our audience a question about landscapes. We understand, we learned from who's the guy that wrote the Bible of American Landscape?
I don't know.
No, I always say his name. I've got a tattoo on my arm by him, and his name escaped me. But at any rate, he writes that the far distant landscape, the last mountains that you see are violet. And then a little bit before that is blue, etc. And I want to ask so he just states that. And we know that's true.
Ansel Adams?
No, it'll come to me. I'll think of it. But at any rate, I want to ask the audience, why is the last color that you see that violet? Okay, and I want to hear that in the comments. I want you to get with Dasha or get with me, send comments. Why is the last thing violet? Because I
think I know, but I'm not gonna. I'm gonna send you a message. I think I know, but I'm not gonna spoil it yet.
Okay.
I know. Okay. Are you ready for the next?
Yeah.
We have 3 pictures left from your selection. And we're
Yes.
going to do a little close-up here. Lorraine, Trenholm, Chamisa, Kenyon.
Oh, I'm on the wrong one. Lorraine Trenholm, Chamisa Canyon. Yeah, she's down there in southwestern Colorado. Super talented artist. Very strong background. And this one, Lorraine, this one has, I think, gone beyond your other arroyos. I think it's a little bit different because its light is so subtle. It's obviously a bright day, but the form has almost disappeared, almost, into light and color, and so it to me it's a more vibrant painting than, I mean, I love all of your Arroyo series. This one is different, and so I love that. But I think art at its base, art should be different. And Wolf Kahn said, once you know how to do something, by all rights, you should forget that and learn something new. And you thought art was about skill. Wolf Kahn said, the late, great Wolf Kahn said, art is about the new. It's about innovation. So Lorraine has given us a new painting. And I love the strikes of color, the strikes of red or red umber in the sky under the blue. Same thing takes place throughout the whole painting. And that gives me this great activity. You can tell that she has strictly observed the play of light. And she understands what light does in the shadows and what color does in the shadows and what color does in the half light and what color does in the bright light. And so this is certainly a person who I take my hat off to, expert artist. Love her work, love Lorraine. Hi, Lorraine.
Hi, Lorraine. Thank you, Casey. Wonderful description. And another painting by another Red Rock member, Greg Stone, Rocks near Lyons, Colorado. So I guess we moved to Colorado a little bit.
Okay, I love that. John F. Carlson is the name I was looking for. Wrote the Bible on American landscape painting, John F. Carlson. And he tells you the nuts and bolts. And if you can get that book, get it. I had to go find one that was out of print. He tells you that violet is the last thing you see in the distance, but he doesn't tell you why. And I want to know from you why. Okay, Greg Stone. Greg, did I meet you in Albuquerque? I'm not sure. I keep seeing your name and your face and your work because we're friends on Facebook. But I'm trying to remember if we actually met, and I apologize. This is a very fine work from Greg. I spent a lot of time in the mountains, and I've spent some time in Colorado. And this really speaks of Colorado to me. Greg does not get into the little details of the rock and the trees and the landscape. This is a presentation of tremendous simplicity. And so this is one of the greatest abstracted works that, as far as the landscape goes, in this exhibition, among many, many great works. Here you have a highly abstracted landscape, and yet it reads perfectly fine. I love that deep blue in the upper shadow, and I love the layout. I have a scene like this in my mind from Central Washington State. I've never been able to resolve it, so Greg has given me some ideas on how to resolve the scene. But also it has, I don't know if Greg is an oil painter, but it has some of the moves that an oil painter would use. So then that's painterly. You know, it looks like brush strokes, and they look like a large flat brush. And so I love that about it. Congratulations, Greg. Really strong, and I want to make sure I do meet you.
Greg just joined Red Rock Pastel Society, and beautiful piece in our exhibition. And we have one more I think it's the last one. Tony Allain, Centennial Boulder. The Back to Wild Wild West.
That's right. And Tony, even though Tony's a Brit, he's been studying his Maynard Dixon because he's a man that knows his art. First time I saw a Tony Allain, I think I was in New Jersey at Stan Spurlack's workshop, and I saw an original, and I said, "Oh my gosh, this fellow really understands values without fail." And then he steps beyond that, and he understands bright lights. So this one seems also posterized, which means big spaces of color, but subtle play of color in the shadows, just so. And I love his sense of lots of shapes. The shapes are gestural. Who am I to comment on a great Tony Allain piece? This piece works so well. If you could see this piece in real life other than on a computer screen, you would see more subtlety even. And so there's perfection in the level of color and the level of value. And of course, the strong shape composition is just so wonderful. And look at that what I call a marine landscape, which is a long landscape, is appropriate to the desert. That's the form of the painting. He's taken the first decision in landscape painting, which is which aspect to hit it. Landscape painting is long, a portrait painting is tall. So he's taken this long landscape and made it even longer. And it's a desert landscape. And so that creates the form, makes it very strong. Another form of the Southwest is bright color. And so he's done that. Tony knows the difference between color and light and uses it expertly. Hi, Tony. Good to see you. And I watched your Red Rock interview with Tony in his studio, and I said, hey, I want to show my studio too.
Thank you, Casey. You're so kind. And yes, by the way, Tony finished this painting during live video with him. So, and he entered it. That was amazing. Like I was blown away. Congratulations, Tony, on his amazing thesis. Thank you, Casey. And please show us your studio. So let's talk about your work now.
Okay, thank you. I'll probably have to take my glasses on and off. This painting, I just, and I'll be off screen sometimes because I'm showing the work. This is my, okay, is it washed out? No, it's not washed out. This is one of my favorite models, Mallory. And she's such a striking individual. After doing many portraits of her, I decided that she was a candidate to be rendered like one of Edvard Munch's paintings. Edvard Munch, who painted The Scream, was the father of Expressionism. And so I take myself as a color expressionist. And so here is an expressionist treatment of Mallory. And you know, even her mother loved the work. So I must have done something right.
Thank you, Casey.
So, expressionist treatment of, yeah.
I hope you guys can see that my...
Yeah, I know. There's two of them there.
Yeah.
Okay. And this self-portrait, I did a project where I decided if I could do 1 or 2 or 5 or 10 self-portraits, then I could do 100. So I went ahead and did 100 self-portraits. This one was on exhibition in Albuquerque at the IAPS. And it happens to be one of the I don't know how many I have in frames out of 100, maybe 12. So this one is in my possession. It's rather large as well. And so one of the self-portraits.
Is it challenging to...
Oh, what's that?
Is it challenging to paint yourself?
Yes. One of the first things I decided, I had a few ground rules. I won't say them all because I won't remember them all, but it took me 3 years to complete 100 that I liked, and I probably did 130. And every time I would get near 100, I would destroy 10 and start over. Then I got back to 100 and I would destroy 5 and start over. I decided to not worry about likeness. Likeness was the first thing that I took out the door. And so there was a lot of freedom learned. And I'm trying to apply that freedom back into my other portrait work. And so there's the portrait of Mallory. I think that I tried to put more freedom into that. Oh, but I wanted to say about her painting, I completed that one, I think, in 2018. And then I brought it out. It was too harsh. The transitions were too harsh. I had looked at it for a couple years and didn't know how to complete it. And so I completed it just last week. That's why it's still up on the easel. So likeness is not the greatest thing in a painting. Munch would paint children on commission, and the parents would hate it, but the children would love it. So it's not about whether people love your work or not. It's about whether you're telling the honest truth. Okay, so we did portrait, we did self-portrait. I have a fruit work. Let's see.
This is Mallory portrait, yes?
Say again?
Can you see top of my screen? Is that Mallory portrait?
Oh, no, that one is a imagination.
Okay.
Yeah, with the yellow and the red. Yeah, that nude, that's from imagination, and it's highly designed. I have a lot of influence from modernist painters. And so that one came as influence. Of course, it came totally from my mind. I'm not looking at the painting. I look at them, and then keep them in my memory. And then somehow or another, they come out my hand onto the page. So that yellow and red and green poster work, I kind of like that one personally.
I love it too, and but I will stop interrupting you.
Oh no, I want your questions, otherwise I just keep going on and on. This painting was in Manhattan at the Pastel Society of America last year.
Congratulations,
yeah.
and
thank you. And so it's that big, it's not big. It's not small either. It's kind of a medium work. So the play of light and how does color affect? Cezanne said there is no light. There is no model. There's only color. Cezanne, who is famous for his apples. There is no model. There's only color.
I have a pair.
So, okay, how much time have we done?
We at 36 minutes right now.
Oh, okay. I'm going to open my flat file. I selected a few works ahead of time. Would you like to see a couple things?
Sure, absolutely.
Okay. This one now I'm going to stand out of the frame. This is another work, Dasha, that was hard to resolve. It was finished, so to speak, about a year ago. I think it was 2019. And so it's 2019 and 2020 because I addressed it before the Mallory work. I addressed this work. And I finally did finish it. So such as it is. These flowers are on a it's not a wild rose. It was planted by pioneers 150 years ago or whatever, 100 years ago. So those roses were dried out and in that vase.
Thank you, Casey. Great use of color, as always.
Thank you. Okay, and so who's that? That's Mallory again, from the imagination. So again, she doesn't mind if I paint her death blue or green, because she's an edgy person, and so so that's the way that one turned out again. So thinking about a tight crop, because it's contemporary, and Matisse made his people blue, and I could ask you again, why did Matisse make people blue? But I'll jump to the answer, because blue was his favorite color. Okay. Let's see, I think I have about 5 to show you. Back to the still life. I don't know if you can see it. There you go. A pot with no flowers. Do you like the movie about Modigliani?
I'm not sure I've seen that one.
Oh, Andy Garcia plays Modigliani. And he goes to visit Renoir. And Renoir is bragging that he bought a Model A Ford car, and that he sold one painting, a pot with no flowers. so, all right, Renoir. I'm not competing with Renoir, of course, but here's my pot with no flowers.
That's awesome.
Oh.
Thank you, Casey. And now I know what I'm doing this afternoon.
What's that?
I know what I'm doing this afternoon. I'm going to watch this movie.
Oh. Oh, yeah, you have to see that one. And have a box of Kleenex.
Okay.
So we were talking about layers in the landscape, the American West, and we were talking about Maynard Dixon. So this is my American West. We want it to be abstracted. We want the light to set up in a certain way. And this is the final layer. You and I were talking about drawing the figure.
Yeah.
Yeah, so here's a figure in an interior. Now I have this lovely studio. I can paint better interior works, I hope. My goal. But here's a nude in the interior.
Amazing.
Thank you. Well, you can tell color is my interest.
And you know how to handle it, definitely.
Well, the colors know what they want to do. This is the final one. And again, Mallory. Mallory came to my studio wearing a red coat, a red wool coat that her mother gave her. And so it makes it into the paintings. I actually did this motif as a full sheet, but here's a small version. And so I was interested in the design, interested in the colors. Sorry about the uneven lighting. There, that's a little bit better.
Oh, it's great.
So, that's it. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Casey. Thank you, Casey, for showing your work and for doing such a wonderful walkthrough. I would listen to you for another 20 minutes, and I bet our audience will, but we will leave them hungry for more, I guess. So
Yes,
Yeah,
Dasha, come back someday and look at my flat file of self-portraits. We won't look at 100.
yes,
I would love to
yes.
reveal some of the self-portraits.
That would be amazing theme for one of our next live. So when we say this one, like let's ask this question. So our questions to audience was why last shadow is purple, and are we ready to reveal 100 self-portraits?
Cool, love it.
Thank you, Casey, so much. This was one of my favorite lives, and I will try to save it. Thank you, everybody who watched us live today. Please do not forget to head to Red Rock website, check out our show. And I have great news. We started our work on a catalog. So we're gonna have beautiful catalog available like in almost no time. We already like ahead. So gonna send you a copy too.
You're a busy
Thank
society, and I really appreciate getting to work with you. Thank you so much.